Did you know Washington State has the highest waterfall density in the entire United States? It has more waterfalls per square mile than anywhere else in the country. From thunderous canyon plunges to hidden forest vales, Washington's waterfalls aren't just scenery. They're alive with geology, history, and wild beauty. So stay with us for a few minutes as we explore some of the most breathtaking, underrated, and downright unforgettable waterfalls in the state of Washington. The Palouse Falls, Washington's official state waterfall. Located in southeastern Washington, Palouse Falls State Park plunges a breathtaking 198 feet into a rugged canyon carved by ancient floods. Around 15,000 years ago, the Missoula floods, a series of cataclysmic glacial outburst floods, scoured the landscape, creating the dramatic basalt formations and steep cliffs that surround the falls today. The falls are one of the last remaining active waterfalls along the path of these floods, offering a rare window into prehistoric natural forces. The park is a haven for geology enthusiasts, photographers, and history buffs. It features scenic overlooks, interpretive signs explaining the area's unique geology, and trails that provide awe-inspiring views of the falls and the surrounding canyon. Wildlife is abundant in the area, with golden eagles, prairie falcons, and marmots commonly sighted. Palouse Falls is also culturally significant to the Palouse Native American tribe, who have long revered the site for its spiritual and practical importance. Whether you're captivated by its roaring waters or its fascinating history, Palouse Falls State Park is a must-see destination that showcases the dynamic forces shaping Washington's landscape. Spokane Falls. How many major cities have a roaring waterfall right in the heart of downtown? Spokane Falls isn't just a scenic spot, it's the historical and cultural heartbeat of Spokane itself. Divided into upper and lower falls, these powerful drops are part of the Spokane River and have shaped the city's development for centuries. Long before European settlers arrived, the Spokane tribe fished here for salmon and held seasonal gatherings around the falls. The name Spokane comes from the Salish word for children of the sun. In the 1880s, the falls became central to Spokane's industrial rise, powering mills and factories and later providing hydroelectricity that still fuels the city today. During the 1974 World's Fair, one of the only environmentally themed world expos, the city revitalized the area into Riverfront Park, which remains a major community and tourist hub. Today, a skyride gondola, pedestrian bridges, and scenic walkways offer unbeatable views of the thundering water. During spring runoff, the roar of the falls becomes deafening, drawing crowds to watch nature in action in the middle of urban life. It's a perfect blend of natural wonder and human history. Frenchmen Coulee Waterfall. How can a desert host a waterfall? That's the paradox of Frenchmen Coulee, a dramatic desert canyon near Vantage that occasionally hosts a seasonal waterfall flowing over massive basalt columns. Located just east of the Columbia River, this coulee was carved by Ice Age floods thousands of years ago, part of the legendary Missoula floods that shaped the region's channeled scablands. The falls only appear after significant rain or snowmelt, but when they do, they create a stark contrast, water tumbling over ancient lava cliffs in a bone-dry landscape. The coulee is also famous for its unique geology, particularly the feathers, towering basalt spires that attract rock climbers from around the world. There's no official name for the waterfall itself, which often goes dry by late spring, but it adds a magical, ephemeral quality to a place already steeped in geological drama. Snoqualmie Falls. Did you know that Snoqualmie Falls, one of Washington's most iconic landmarks, plunges 268 feet, nearly twice the height of Niagara Falls? Located near the town of Snoqualmie, this spectacular waterfall attracts over 1.5 million visitors annually. Beyond its natural beauty, the falls hold profound cultural and historical significance. For the Snoqualmie tribe, the falls are a sacred site, believed to be the birthplace of humanity. The mist rising from the falls is considered the connection between heaven and earth, a belief that deepens the spiritual experience of visiting this site. In addition to its cultural importance, Snoqualmie Falls played a pioneering role in renewable energy. In 1898, the Snoqualmie Falls hydroelectric plant began operating as one of the world's first underground power stations, and it remains in use today, blending innovative engineering with environmental stewardship. You can explore the surrounding 2-acre park, which features observation decks for breathtaking views, interpretive signs detailing the area's history, and access to hiking trails. During heavy rains, the falls roar with immense power, creating misty rainbows that captivate onlookers. Snoqualmie Falls has also made its mark in popular culture, famously appearing in the TV series Twin Peaks. Whether you're drawn by its natural splendor, historical significance, or cultural legacy, Snoqualmie Falls offers an experience that is both awe-inspiring and deeply enriching. Franklin Falls. This is one of Washington's most accessible and picturesque waterfalls, is just a short drive from Seattle. Nestled in the Cascade Mountains near Snoqualmie Pass, the 70-foot cascade is the highlight of a family-friendly 2-mile round-trip hike that meanders through lush forests along the South Fork of the Snoqualmie River. The trail is particularly popular in winter, when the falls partially freeze, creating a stunning icy wonderland that draws photographers and adventure seekers alike. Franklin Falls has a unique charm due to its proximity to I-90, yet it feels like a hidden oasis, with the sound of rushing water replacing the noise of traffic. Historically, the area surrounding the falls has been a hub of activity, from logging in the early 20th century to being part of the Mountain to Sound Greenway, which promotes conservation and sustainable recreation. The falls' accessibility makes them a popular year-round destination, but winter visitors should exercise caution as icy trails can be challenging to navigate. The trail features educational signs about the local flora, fauna, and hydrology of the region, making it a perfect spot for learning about Washington's natural environment. Twin Falls. Tucked into Olallie State Park along the South Fork of the Snoqualmie River, is one of the most popular and accessible waterfalls in the region. Despite its name, Twin Falls is actually a three-stage cascade, with the most famous being the middle drop, where two powerful streams plunge side by side over a sheer cliff, giving the illusion of twin waterfalls. Altogether, the falls descend about 135 feet, framed by mossy canyon walls and old-growth trees. The hike-in is moderate and family-friendly, about 3 miles round trip, depending on which trailhead you start from, and it offers multiple viewpoints, including a dramatic wooden overlook that puts you almost eye level with the roaring water. The trail follows the river closely, offering serene views, bridges, and several smaller cascades along the way. Twin Falls is especially impressive in late winter and spring, when runoff from the cascades supercharges the river's flow. Historically, the area was heavily logged in the early 20th century, and today's towering second-growth forest is a testament to successful ecological recovery. Wallace Falls. This waterfall that comes in 3 parts and gets more dramatic the higher you climb. Located in its namesake state park near Gold Bar, Wallace Falls is one of Washington's most popular and accessible hikes, featuring a triple-tiered waterfall that drops a total of 265 feet. The trail winds through old-growth Douglas fir and red cedar, hugging the Wallace River and offering scenic viewpoints at each section. Lower Falls, Middle Falls, the most dramatic drop at 260 feet, and Upper Falls. The trail is well maintained and includes benches, bridges, and interpretive signage that explains the area's ecology and hydrology. Once part of the logging country in the Snoqualmie Valley, the forest has rebounded thanks to state protection, becoming a sanctuary for black bears, deer, and dozens of bird species. Today, it's a favorite for both casual hikers and photographers, with a blend of forest immersion and thundering water that's hard to beat. Bridal Falls. This waterfall in Washington named for its resemblance to a bride's flowing veil. Located in the Columbia River Gorge, Bridal Falls is a dramatic 2-tiered cascade dropping over 100 feet, surrounded by dense, mossy forest. Unlike the more crowded falls nearby, Bridal offers a quieter experience with a short, well-maintained trail that includes interpretive signs about the native plants and the area's ecology. The falls are fed by Bridal Veil Creek, which originates in the Larch Mountain region and gains volume from snowmelt and rainfall. Historically, the area around the falls was once home to a booming logging town named Bridal Veil in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with a sawmill and post office that operated until 2006. Today, remnants of that past can still be found near the trailhead. The falls themselves are in the Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area, creates a prime spot for study lava flows, cataclysmic ice age floods, and tectonic shifts all played a role in shaping the gorge. While Oregon technically claims the falls, the experience is often lumped into broader explorations of southwest Washington's Cascade region, where similar topography dominates. For photographers and hikers alike, Bridal Veil is a serene stop with historical depth. Canyon Falls. Located on the South Fork Snoqualmie River just outside the town of Granite Falls in western Washington. This waterfall isn't towering, more of a 25-foot plunge, but what it lacks in height, it makes up for in raw power and setting. The river narrows dramatically as it drops into a rocky canyon, creating a loud, churning rush of water that fills the gorge with mist and sound. The falls sit just off Mountain Loop Highway, but reaching them requires a little know-how. There's no official signage or developed trail, so you have to access them by walking downstream from the Granite Falls fish ladder or via rugged side paths that demand caution, especially in wet conditions. Because of this, Canyon Falls remains a bit of a locals-only favorite. Historically, this section of the river was vital to the Soxhawtla and Snoqualmie tribes, as well as early logging operations that used the river for transport. Today, the surrounding area is part of the Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest, and while it's not protected as an official recreation site, it still holds value as a raw and untamed example of cascade hydropower. Lewis River Falls. The Lewis River Falls, upper, middle, and lower, are a trio of jaw-dropping cascades in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, each with its own personality and power. The lower Lewis River Falls is the most photographed, with a 43-foot drop that spans nearly 200 feet wide, broad, muscular, and thunderous. The middle falls are taller at 75 feet and split into multiple tiers, while the upper falls crashes down in a narrower torrent through a rocky chute. All are connected by a scenic forest trail along the Lewis River, lined with moss-covered rocks, ancient trees, and wildflowers in spring. This area was traditionally used by the Cowlitz and Yakama tribes and remains rich in natural and cultural history. The forest itself is a result of volcanic activity from nearby Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams, giving the riverbed its layered basalt look. In the summer, the pools below the falls become popular swimming and fishing spots, while fall draws in hikers seeking solitude and golden foliage. Falls Creek Falls. This is a three-tiered giant that tumbles nearly 335 feet in total. Hidden within the mossy, rugged wilderness of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. The 3.4-mile round-trip hike to the falls is one of the most rewarding in the state, featuring old-growth firs, swinging bridges, and peekaboo views of the surrounding cliffs. The upper tier is the tallest and most dramatic, while just downstream lies Lower Falls Creek Falls, a lesser-known but equally enchanting segment of the same watercourse. While not as towering as the main falls, the lower falls drop a graceful 35 to 40 feet through a narrow canyon into a secluded pool that's perfect for a cooling dip. This area was historically logged but has since recovered into a thriving second-growth forest that supports black bears, cougars, and dozens of bird species. Falls Creek itself feeds into the Wind River, part of the Columbia River Basin, and serves as a key aquatic habitat for trout and other fish. Panther Creek Falls. What happens when an underground stream suddenly emerges from a cliff face and spills over moss-covered rock in vales and sheets? You get Panther Creek Falls, one of the most visually mesmerizing waterfalls in southwest Washington. Located in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest near Carson, this fall drops about 130 feet over a unique terraced rock formation that spreads the water into fine, lacy streams. The upper tier bursts from a cliffside spring, giving the falls an otherworldly appearance as if conjured by magic. A short boardwalk and viewing platform make it accessible, though steep trails lead to alternative perspectives. The name Panther Creek comes from old settler accounts of cougars roaming the area, and the surrounding forest still hosts bobcats, elk, and bears. For generations, local indigenous peoples considered this region sacred, using its hidden water sources and natural shelters for spiritual and seasonal purposes. Sunset Falls. This waterfall has become a kayaker's proving ground. Sunset Falls on the South Fork of the Snoqualmie River is not just a beautiful natural feature, it's one of the most formidable waterfall kayaking spots in the Pacific Northwest. This single-drop waterfall plunges approximately 104 feet into a narrow gorge and is known for its smooth, sloped rock face. Only expert-level paddlers have dared to run it, and it remains one of the tallest waterfalls ever descended in a kayak. Beyond extreme sports, Sunset Falls is part of a scenic section of the river near Index, nestled in the foothills of the Central Cascades, the Snoqualmie people having long lived and fished along these riverbanks. Sunset Falls also played a brief role in hydroelectric exploration in the early 20th century, when proposals were floated to harness the power of the Snoqualmie River. However, conservation efforts helped preserve much of the river's natural flow. Today, Sunset Falls remains a mostly undeveloped site, viewable from nearby roads or by short trails. It's particularly stunning in the late afternoon, when the setting sun hits the water at just the right angle, hence the name. Lucia Falls. What makes a small waterfall worth visiting? At Lucia Falls, it's all about the perfect blend of scenery, access, and ecological importance. Located on the North Fork of the Lewis River near Battleground, Lucia Falls is only about 15 feet high but spans wide across polished volcanic rock, creating a powerful, tumbling rush. What's special here is the river's role in the life cycle of salmon. Every fall, Chinook and coho leap these cascades on their upstream journey to spawn. The surrounding Lucia Falls Regional Park has interpretive signs, trails, and picnic areas. The park was established in the early 20th century and has been a center for both recreation and conservation ever since. To protect fish habitat, swimming is not permitted. Visitors can enjoy shaded trails through cedar and alder groves and observe wildlife along the riverbanks. It's a reminder that waterfalls don't have to be massive to be meaningful. They can be windows into entire ecosystems. Dougan Falls. This 19-foot waterfall surrounded by a natural amphitheater of basalt is one of southwest Washington's most beloved river escapes, located along the Washougal River in Snoqualmie County. Though modest in height, the falls stretch wide and powerful, creating deep pools that are ideal for swimming, wading, and even cliff jumping during the summer. What makes Dougan Falls unique isn't just its accessibility or popularity. It's the surrounding geology. The bedrock here showcases exposed Columbia River basalt flows shaped over millions of years, and the cool, green pool at the base is carved into a natural bowl that almost feels engineered. This spot was historically used by indigenous peoples, particularly members of the Klickitat and Chinook tribes, as a seasonal fishing ground. The falls are part of the scenic Washougal River Greenway, and the drive up is an adventure in itself, winding through forested canyons and rustic wooden bridges. Despite growing popularity, Dougan Falls still retains a wild, refreshing atmosphere. Just be cautious during peak summer months, as currents can be deceptively strong. Iron Creek Falls. This is a hidden gem in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, near Mount St. Helens. Standing about 32 feet tall, this wide, fan-shaped waterfall spills gracefully over a basalt ledge into a deep, green pool, perfect for wading or dipping your feet in warmer months. The falls are fed by Iron Creek, which flows through forestland rejuvenated after the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens, making the area not just scenic but geologically significant. The short trail from the roadside parking area, off Forest Road 25, is easy and well-marked, winding through thick evergreens and lush understory. The site is perfect for families or travelers exploring the Mount St. Helens backcountry loop, and while it's accessible, it rarely gets crowded. Whether you're on a casual road trip or a serious volcano geek, Iron Creek Falls is a quick but unforgettable stop. Narada Falls. This is one of the most visited waterfalls in Mount Rainier National Park, which is very misty, so it creates its own rainbow on sunny days. Dropping 168 feet in 2 tiers, Narada crashes over a basalt cliff before tumbling into a mist-filled gorge, throwing up spray that regularly catches light and creates vivid arcs. The falls are accessible year-round, right off Paradise Road, and offer both upper and lower viewpoints via a short but steep trail. Formed by glacial runoff from the Paradise area, Narada Falls is a clear reminder of Mount Rainier's icy influence on its river systems. The name Narada was chosen in the early 1900s by a local hotel owner, inspired by a Hindu sage, as part of a movement to give places more poetic names. The constant roar and the scent of cold water and hemlock make this one of the most immersive stops in the park. Christine Falls. This is one of the most photographed waterfalls in Washington. It's not just the water, it's the perfect framing. Located just off Paradise Road in Mount Rainier National Park, this 69-foot waterfall drops in two tiers directly beneath a graceful stone bridge, creating a postcard-worthy view from the road itself. The falls are part of Van Trump Creek, named after P.B. Van Trump, who, along with Hazard Stevens, made the first documented climb of Mount Rainier in 1870. Christine Falls was named in honor of Christine Van Trump, P.B.'s daughter, who heroically attempted to climb the mountain despite severe illness and later died young. The bridge above the falls was built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps and is an example of the National Park rustic style, meant to blend seamlessly into the landscape. From the overlook, you get the sound of rushing water, a view of Mount Rainier's volcanic slopes, and a deep canyon carved over millennia. Comet Falls. Tucked into the south side of Mount Rainier National Park, Comet Falls is one of the tallest and most visually spectacular waterfalls in the state. Plunging a near-vertical 320 feet from Van Trump Creek, the waterfall earns its name by blasting over a cliff in a single, narrow torrent that looks like a white streak from a comet's tail. The hike to Comet Falls is short, just under 2 miles one way but steep, winding through avalanche chutes, wildflower meadows, and high alpine forest. The trail also passes Christine and Bloucher Falls, offering multiple scenic payoffs. Comet Falls is fed by glacial melt, and its volume peaks during late spring and early summer. In 2001, a powerful flood altered the trail and surrounding landscape, a reminder of the region's volatility and the impact of Mount Rainier's glacial systems. The surrounding gorge, rich in volcanic rock and lush vegetation, adds a dramatic framing that makes the waterfall feel even taller than it is. Martha Falls. Located on Stevens Canyon Road in Mount Rainier National Park. This elegant 125-foot waterfall spills down rocky ledges from Unicorn Creek, a glacial stream that originates high above in the Tatoosh Range. The falls were named after Martha Longmire, the wife of James Longmire, a pioneer who established one of the first lodges and mineral springs near Mount Rainier in the late 1800s. The Longmires were instrumental in the early promotion of the mountain as a destination, and the name is a quiet nod to their influence. The falls are best viewed from a short trail leading from a pull-off along the road, and the scenery includes sweeping views of the surrounding canyon. In spring and early summer, the melting snow supercharges the falls into a roaring display. Later in the year, the volume drops but the setting remains stunning. Little Mashel River Waterfalls. Located in the Pack Forest near Eatonville, the Little Mashel River Waterfalls are one of Western Washington's most underrated waterfall clusters. This hike-accessible series includes the Lower Falls, Middle Falls, and the Upper Falls, all within a couple miles of forest trails that weave through second-growth woodland and mossy ravines. The Lower Falls is the most dramatic, dropping roughly 90 feet in a powerful plunge that crashes into a rugged canyon. In spring, it's absolutely roaring due to snowmelt. A steep path leads to the base, though caution is required on the slippery terrain. Just upstream is the Middle Falls, a smaller but equally beautiful cascade that flows in a delicate curtain over layered rock shelves. It's less visited and great for peaceful reflection. The Upper Falls is the most tranquil, where the river tumbles over smooth rocks into wide pools, ideal for relaxing on warm days. Silver Falls. What happens when a glacier-fed river gets squeezed through volcanic rock and then explodes into a canyon? You get Silver Falls, one of the crown jewels of the Ohanapecosh area in Mount Rainier National Park. This stunning waterfall drops 75 feet in a multi-stage torrent as the Ohanapecosh River barrels through a narrow chute of ancient basalt, carved by time and glacial force. The water turns frothy white, hence the name, and the sound is thunderous, echoing through the canyon even before you see it. The Silver Falls Loop Trail is about 3 miles round trip, a moderate and rewarding hike that crosses footbridges, skirts the river, and offers multiple angles of the falls. Along the way, you'll move through towering old-growth cedar and Douglas fir forests, rich in biodiversity. In nearby, there are Ohanapecosh hot springs and ancient forest groves. Interpretive signs along the trail share insights into volcanic geology, river hydrology, and the forest ecosystem. Clear Creek Falls. Plunging roughly 228 feet from the Clear Creek tributary of the Teton River, this waterfall drops straight into a narrow chasm carved into ancient volcanic rock. Located just off Highway 12, it's one of the most accessible big waterfalls in Washington, with an overlook that offers spectacular panoramic views of both the falls and surrounding Goat Rocks peaks. Formed by centuries of erosion in a landscape dominated by lava flows and uplift, the geology here is textbook-worthy. The falls are at their most powerful during spring runoff but remain impressive year-round thanks to the steady flow from snowfields and small glaciers above. Duc Falls. Ever heard a waterfall split into 3 or 4 streams mid-air? Duc Falls does just that. Crashing through a narrow mossy canyon in Olympic National Park, the water breaks apart dramatically before plunging about 48 feet into a deep, mist-filled gorge. Located near the Duc Hot Springs, the falls are one of the most iconic and photogenic natural landmarks on the Olympic Peninsula. The short, family-friendly hike through old-growth rainforest feels like walking through a living cathedral of Douglas fir and cedar, with carpets of moss and fern underfoot. The name Duc comes from a Quileute word meaning sparkling waters, and the area has long been sacred to indigenous people. In the early 20th century, the nearby hot springs were developed into a rustic resort that attracted visitors from across the country. Today, Duc Falls sits along the Lover's Lane Trail and connects with backcountry routes deeper into the park, making it a great jumping-off point for day hikers and backpackers alike. Marymere Falls. Located near Lake Crescent in Olympic National Park, this 90-foot narrow ribbon of water drops through a mossy gorge framed by towering fir and cedar. The trail to the falls begins near the Storm King Ranger Station and winds through one of the most pristine sections of old-growth forest in the park. Bridges, streams, and cathedral-like trees accompany you the whole way. The waterfall is named after Mary Alice Barnes, the sister of Charles Barnes, who helped develop early tourism in the Lake Crescent area. Though modest in size compared to others in the park, Marymere's vertical elegance and fern-filled surroundings make it a photographer's dream and a family favorite. It's also a great introduction to the Olympic Peninsula's lush interior for first-time visitors. Madison Creek Falls. This elegant, 50-foot Horsedale-style waterfall flows year-round, gently sliding down a mossy rock face into a serene glen at the edge of the Elwha Valley. It's just a 200-yard paved path from the parking area, creating one of the most inclusive natural attractions in the Olympic National Park. Madison Creek Falls sits near the former site of the Elwha Dam, one of the largest dam removal projects in U.S. history. From 2011 to 2014, the Elwha River was set free after a century of being blocked, allowing salmon to return to ancestral spawning grounds and reshaping the valley's entire ecosystem. The waterfall itself wasn't directly affected by the dam, but it stands today as a peaceful symbol of restoration and natural renewal. Best viewed in spring or after a good rain, the falls are perfect for a quick nature break, a picnic stop, or as a gentle intro to the more rugged parts of the park. Murhut Falls. This is a graceful two-tiered cascade nestled deep in the Olympic National Forest, not far from the Hood Canal. Falling nearly 130 feet, Murhut begins with a tall, narrow drop that glides down a rock face, followed by a shorter, wider second tier that fans out like a natural curtain. The trail to reach it is an easy 1.6-mile round trip, winding gently through second-growth forest filled with salal, huckleberries, and moss-draped firs. What sets Murhut Falls apart is its serenity. While it's accessible and well-maintained, it's still far enough off the radar to avoid heavy crowds. Once a logging area in the early 20th century, the forest has been recovering for decades and now offers a quiet, semi-wild escape. The creek that feeds the falls is snowmelt-driven, so spring and early summer bring the most dramatic flows, while autumn wraps the trail in gold and rust tones. There's no cell service, no noise, just the rush of water and birdsong through the canopy. Nooksack Falls. This waterfall once powered one of Washington's earliest hydroelectric projects. Nooksack Falls, a mighty double-plunge waterfall on the North Fork of the Nooksack River, drops approximately 88 feet into a deep, rocky canyon in the Mount Baker Wilderness. Located just off Empty Baker Highway, the falls are easy to access and thunderous in every season, fed by snowmelt from Mount Shuksan and surrounding glaciers. The falls became nationally known in the early 1900s when they were harnessed to generate electricity for nearby mining operations, including the historic Mount Baker mine. Nooksack Falls has also starred in Hollywood. It was featured in the 1995 movie The Deer Hunter. A short walk from the parking area leads to a fenced overlook perched dramatically above the gorge, offering an unforgettable view of the falls and the raw volcanic rock walls surrounding them. Whatcom Falls. This is a waterfall in the middle of a city that still roars with the force of the wild. Whatcom Falls is the centerpiece of Bellingham's beloved Whatcom Falls Park, a 241-acre green space that blends urban access with natural splendor. The falls themselves are about 20 feet high, dropping over a wide sandstone ledge with a forceful presence that varies by season. A beautiful stone bridge, built by the WPA in the 1930s, spans the creek just above the falls and makes for one of the most iconic photo spots in Northwest Washington. The park includes multiple trails, picnic areas, and swimming holes, and it's heavily used by locals for recreation year-round. Whatcom Creek, which flows from Lake Whatcom to Bellingham Bay, has seen both beauty and tragedy. It was the site of a 1999 pipeline explosion, a pivotal moment that reshaped how the city approached environmental management. Today, the area has rebounded with restored trails and habitat, and the falls remain a powerful symbol of urban nature thriving at the heart of a community. Gorge Creek Falls. Ever drive over a bridge and not realize there's a waterfall hundreds of feet below you? Gorge Creek Falls is one of the North Cascades' most dramatic hidden-in-plain-sight features, dropping roughly 242 feet beneath the Gorge Lake Overlook Bridge along Highway 20. Fed by Gorge Creek, a tributary of the Skagit River, the waterfall plunges straight down a narrow granite slot before disappearing into the forested gorge below. It's one of the tallest accessible waterfalls along the North Cascades Highway and is incredibly easy to miss if you're not paying attention. The falls are located within Ross Lake National Recreation Area, part of the broader North Cascades National Park Complex, and they're viewable via a short trail from the parking turnout. What makes this waterfall especially fascinating is the surrounding hydroelectric history. The creek flows into the Skagit River, which is dammed nearby as part of Seattle City Light's historic Skagit River Hydroelectric Project, started in the 1920s. The waterfall, the gorge, and the dams all tell a story of wild beauty and engineered power, side by side. Whether it's a roaring plunge or a quiet forest stream, Washington's waterfalls never disappoint. And the best part, we've only scratched the surface. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, leave a comment with your favorite waterfall, or one you think we should feature next, and don't forget to subscribe for more adventures. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy travels!